Hey everybody, on this episode of the Legends of Tomorrow After Show, we're doing Season 2, Episode 5, Compromised. It's I Love the 80s night on Legends of Tomorrow, plus we got a little David Caruso as the cherry on top. Get ready for Dave Child to dance. Let's do it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Yes! Welcome everybody to I Love the 80s night here on Legends of Tomorrow After Show. Here on AfterBuzz TV, we're breaking down Season 2, Episode 5, Compromised. I'm one of your hosts, Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie. This awesome man busted a move.
I'm Dave Child. You can find me at mrdavechild or davechild.com or in your dreams.
I love the wink there.
Yeah, it's my new catchphrase. Catching it on.
Wow. I am Lex Michael all over social media at the Lex Michael.
And I am Lacretia Lyon all over social media at LACRETIALYON, since there is only one.
That's
That's
right.
a little bit of the Caruso.
Yeah, that's right there, like the little cherry on top. Yes.
Yeah.
So, folks, you can like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes. Lex Michael needs those to live.
I drink 5-star
Yeah.
reviews for nourishment, you guys.
That's right. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel or hop in the chat. Lucretia's got her computer out there, so feel free to chat away about your thoughts about Legends of Tomorrow in general or this episode in particular.
And I believe we do have an iTunes review. I'll pull it up here eventually.
Oh,
Because there's some good ones.
great. Oh, I can't
They
wait.
like us. They really do.
They do?
Yum,
Oh,
yum, yum,
all
yum,
right,
yum.
right. Well,
We
you know,
will be
why not?
nourished this night.
At the end of the episode, we will read one fantastic review, or maybe not one fantastic review, just a thoughtful criticism.
As many of the good reviews as we could find.
There you go.
Yes.
Yes.
Indeed.
And then if we read a bad review, it'll be in a silly voice.
There you go.
But it'll probably be just good reviews.
And that's what we in the biz like to call a tease.
Are you teased?
So let's get into it. The compromise, or just not the. I keep wanting to add that little article in front of it. It's just
Compromised.
compromised. Yes, we get to start it off with, I think, everybody that we enjoyed that so much from the preview last week was seeing Damien Darhk dressed up in his best Miami Vice gear.
So,
Ooh,
so
the
awesome.
problem I had with this, though, is that he's not going to be dressed that way in every scene we see him in for the rest of the season, which means my heart will now break for what may have been every time.
Right. He at least they put him in it once.
Yes.
Because he has oh man, his hair works perfectly at that age, at that in that time period. It was
I really want Tobias Church to come and, be part of Damien Darhk's gang. They could be like coke dealers, and you
Right.
got the brass knuckles, like so Vice City.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can imagine just how much excitement was going around in wardrobe when they were like, all right, this is in 87? Sweet. Beginning of Miami Vice. Yes, let's do it. All right.
we got it.
Neil McDonough just trying on that outfit for the first time. Like, all right, yeah.
But I'm sure he tried a series of them on. So if you're the costume team, right, you get to watch him parade around in a sequence of these Miami Vice uniforms. This is what a day that must have been.
Yeah, what color shirt goes with the white suit? Exactly where does it need to be on the sleeves? How far up?
And we see he's there actually trying to get a relic, another one of those relics, because he's all about collecting the relics.
them
Little
relics.
trinkets
Yes,
and bits and
a
stuff.
fascist, which I was interesting. It was a weapon for the bodyguard of Nero, which is kind of cool. And
Yeah.
it led to the word fascism.
You know what's nice about Legends of Tomorrow? It's a show about time-traveling superheroes, but you learn something sometimes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, we learned where fascism comes from.
Yeah. Be careful, you might just learn something.
The more
Yeah.
you know.
It comes from axes, tiny little axes that look like they have hot dogs strapped together.
That's
true,
Yes.
That's what a fascist is, I guess.
A little hot dog.
The spiciest, most dangerous hot dog pack. That's what it is.
But we see before the deal goes through, we see our good old pal Eobard Thawne comes in and decides to interrupt it.
I'm always glad to see that guy.
I love his jacket. His jacket's fantastic. It's cool to see him running around without the costume on all the time. Very cool.
Yes.
But it was interesting. I thought this, and I don't know how you guys felt about it too, because I assumed that maybe they'd been doing stuff in between their time in World War II till now. But no, it's been since that World War II episode. This is the
Right.
first time that they've met since then.
Yes.
So that was kind of interesting. I thought they may have been cohorts throughout time, but just so far in these 2 periods.
Yeah, I also like how Darhk has not been time traveling yet, but that's what the episode's ultimately leading up to. But in the beginning of this, he's just old dude. He's just Lazarus pitting it up or somehow surviving.
Yeah, frog watering. But we see him at the end of the episode. We do see him time travel. Presumably, it's for the first time, and he seems like really tickled by this idea.
Right.
Yeah, and it's I love because it feels like so often you see Darhk seems to be one step ahead of everybody. So I always love those moments when he's taken by surprise. And Neil McDonough always sells it really well.
Also, to skip ahead and just talk about the ending real quick, because it doesn't really have too much to do with the rest of the episode. But the device that they go into, that he sits into, looks a lot like what Rip Hunter actually used to travel time.
The time sphere.
In the time sphere. It looks a
Yes.
lot like the time sphere. So I thought that was a kind of nice nod to the original comic.
Yeah, and something like the Legion of Superheroes would also travel through time and something very similar to that as well. So that was really cool.
And not totally dissimilar either from the machine at the end of the first season of The Flash, right
Yes.
before we see Garrick's helmet for the first time.
Right. True.
So very cool to see that back.
Very much like a ride at your local county fair as well. That's what drew me back.
That's right, yeah. Whereas they just get you in a glass sphere and then a bunch of drunk dudes just running around it really fast. Trying to this is
Totally.
great.
It reminds me of one of those toys that when you you spin up and then it opens up, and then what if you have a little one of those toys and it opens up and then it looks like Reverse Flash and just like Darhk sitting in the middle, like awesome. That's I'll give that to the merch for Legends of Tomorrow.
There
we
you go.
We can get Neil McDonough to record a awesome.
Awesome.
And what
His
I,
catchphrase.
what I assumed was just like an already established relationship or partnership between those two from the first episode in the World War II. We find out, no, that was just really kind of a one-off thing. And Eobard Thawne is back to try to, hey, let's actually make this a partnership. And Dark's like, I prefer to work alone. I do my own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But now he found out, he got like a little glimmer of what his future is going to be like.
Way to go, Sarah.
So, oh boy, Sarah.
Which is it's a great way to put him in his place without sacrificing her integrity, but also now he has the drive to go do something different and change his destiny, as he says.
Yes.
Yeah,
So maybe not the best idea, as it turned out.
she pulled a Rip Hunter, or as Boo69B says, she pulled a Barry. But I say it's Rip. I mean, he created Vandal Savage pretty much in his little thing. So
True.
we're going back.
And she's also, when they were like, how dare you try and travel around time to fix time for your own agenda. And I kept thinking, that's exactly why you guys are all here, to do that for Rip.
Yeah.
And then Rip left when it didn't work out.
And that seems to be like the big, at least the big crux of the episode is what are the role of the Legends now? And Jax wants them to feel like, I think we can go back and we can make some changes in time to make everything for the better. And Stein is like, you don't know what those changes are going to have. You can't understand what the repercussions are. And I do like Jackson's lines, like, are we just time janitors? Is that what we're doing? We're just
Time
I
janitor.
love the
Time
time
janitors.
janitors. I was like, that and the lovable losers. I was like, that's some good names.
I was going to say, Lovable Losers, I think, is actually a better name for the team than
The
Legends.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Because every single time it opens up like, we're not heroes, we're legends. I keep thinking, isn't that a bit more conceited?
Weirdly self-aggrandizing, guys.
Yeah.
Just to see how it sounds, though, Dave Child, give us that line with lovable losers instead.
We're not heroes. We're lovable losers. See how much better that is? That's so much better. We're just turning to CW's lovable losers. LL. That's not bad.
Be DC's lovable losers. I think.
Yeah.
'Cause for
DC's.
branding purposes.
Right, it'll be DC's lovable losers. It just sounds fun.
It does. It does really sound like a good time, chummy buddy show.
Yeah.
Because I have to admit, with that, we've not seen any of the other shows address that team by name. So when they were getting rid of the four-way crossover, and we see Flash and Green Arrow, and somebody says, "Oh, we're the Legends," like, whoa, hold on, what?
Guys, whoa.
Who are you people?
I'm a super.
I've been doing this for like 5 years already, guys. Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit. I think we're all legends in a way. No, we're the real legends.
Who are you people?
We're lovable losers. Oh, that makes more sense. Lovable losers makes more sense. Okay.
got it.
Let's fight some aliens. I assume it's the opening to that.
No.
And I feel like as Sarah's siding with Stein on that was just basically, you kind of knew as soon as she said that she was going to be faced with especially with Damien Darhk in the episode, you know, at some point she's going to have to go against everything that's easy to say, like, oh yeah, we're just going to keep time alone until her Achilles heel comes into the picture. Good old Damien Darhk.
Yeah.
Right.
I like as soon as they mention Damien Darhk, she's like, oh,
Yeah.
Gotta go kill that guy, even though I'm the leader now.
And I'm in the middle of the White House.
That was ridiculous.
Perfect place.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Vidar DJ 16 Starkill. I've got your name right this time. Said they are Rips Rejects. That's also a
Rips
good
Rejects.
I was like, yeah,
Rips
good.
Rejects.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
No, it's not at all.
It's good.
Like these alliterated titles.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Our other group, though, is Mick and Ray. Of course, is Ray going to be the next Captain Cold
Or Colonel Cold.
I'm surprised he didn't go with like Cold Ray at any point. I mean,
true.
right? He has a ray gun now. Your name is Ray. Just use it.
And it was interesting to find out that it's just not a gun, but it's also how you use the gun that makes it so effective.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh.
But that was very
Remember that.
zen for Mick, and I liked the scenes where Mick actually got to behave as a mentor figure of sorts, because it's a very clear distinction from the Mick of season 1, who would not have been capable, I think, of playing that role.
Right.
Yeah, I really love how he's progressed and how he just wanted his buddy back, and then he's like, "But you're not him," and he's like, "It's giving me." Feelings. That sounds like
Got
me.
very like very Fonzarelli-esque, where it's like he could never say himself. I'm
Also, Freeze Ray would have been good too.
Freeze
Ray.
would have been pretty good.
Yeah.
But I like seeing the like warm gooey center in the middle of Heatwave from time to time.
Ooh, yeah.
Gooey.
Warm and gooey in the middle.
Because he's Heatwave, it's so warm.
Yeah. I also like how we have, they do have this cool gun lying around. It makes sense that they would use it every once in a while and be like, why don't we give it to the guy that doesn't have powers or assassin abilities and see how he does. And I'm glad it's now gone. Like, I got the sense that that's, like, the path that the gun took.
But to me, it's like, all right, so he needs to disassemble the gun to stop that bomb in the White House state dinner. But I'm also thinking, like, well, then just put all the parts back.
Put it back together.
So if you
I
can take it
mean,
apart, you should be able to put it back together.
It was like a metaphor for his like personal growth and figuring out what his actual niche in the team is, but
Right.
also like you're right, they could just put the gun back together. But I like that he figured out what his power is, and his power isn't the atom suit. His power is, as they so eloquently put it, he can science his way out of anything. And I really like, because we talked last week briefly about, like, I would have rather seen him do exactly what he did than continue to use the cold gun. That feels very out of character for him.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work. And also, I while we're talking about powers, I thought, like, the use of powers in this episode was great. I feel like we saw different sides of people's powers than usually they just turn them on and then they hit people a lot. And we got to see
the bullets.
Yeah, the bullets melting with Firestorm. We also got to see Vixen
with the owl
use those use the eyes of a bird in order to see in the dark. That was great. I feel like with her especially, she tends to be a gorilla or just something that runs really fast and agile, and that's like what she uses the powers for.
Yeah. So
it's nice to see a little bit of a different turn on that.
And it was nice to see Animal Girl sort of come out of her shell and tell the story about, his grandfather and things like that. It's like, oh, okay, we're getting a little bit softer here.
I was thinking about how, like, it is really great how we talked a little bit a few episodes back how we thought that her and Ray were going to be a love story. And I also didn't really want to see it, but I was like, okay, if they put the time into it, it'll be great. And in this episode, I felt like maybe they're not going to do a love story at all, and that's great. But then the way it ends really seems like it's foretelling, like, if you find love.
Well, right. It's exactly when it's when
Yeah.
Obsidian says, like, if you have a chance at love again, be sure to, like, really hold on to it, whatever. And then he immediately, the reverse shot, he immediately
Yeah,
steps into
Steel
frame.
comes out, goes and be like, hey, what's going on? Tell me more about my granddad.
I'm all about the buns of steel, so as long as he
Weirdly-
gets naked, it's all right.
Like, right, and, like, sure, he's charming. He's a charming man. I actually ship the two of them more than I would...
I think it's
Vixen and Ray.
I don't really care either way. I kind of wish they wouldn't do it, but it is CW, and
if they're going to do it at all.
If they're going to do it, just put the time into it. Put the effort into it.
And his scene with her was a little more obviously going that way, but then they'd also sort of had scenes with her and Jax and her and Mick that were kind of like, What? Are they just trying to test and see who fits best? They're trying to see the
Right.
comments, I kind of think.
Chemistry tests in
Yeah.
each episode.
I still think, I mean, Rex was taken off the board so early, and it was such a big name, or, you know, a named actor playing the role of Hourman that I don't think we've seen the last of him. I think by sometime by the end of the season, they're going to give back a chance of time and prevent his
Oh,
death.
yeah.
Do you
For the
think
wedding.
so? Rex is the Hawkman of season 2.
It's not going to be, I mean, because it's not like they're destined to be together.
No, right?
Yeah.
But as far as
Very similar.
the team member that's offed early on, and then eventually somewhere else in
Yes.
the time stream they pluck him out and he rejoins.
Every
think
season,
so.
they're just going to have a love lost animal themed female
That's right.
superhero who's just like,
Well,
keep meeting
season
up.
3.
Who's it going to be?
Well, Nate is showing his smarts at the beginning of the episode as he's talking with Amaya that he built a little thing that detects time quakes, or as
Mm.
Amaya says, like a time seismograph.
Yeah.
Totally
I'm
gonna steal
totally
that.
using that.
Yeah.
Also, timeograph. Come on. Right? Isn't
Lose that
better?
seisma. Lose that
Use
seisma.
the seisma or seisma time. I don't know. I feel like size timograph isn't that cool to be like,
Why
I'm
wouldn't
using
you-
that.
Well, like, why wouldn't you take advantage of the fact that you could just call it something Timequake or like Timequake Reader and just get to say Timequake a lot?
That's true.
Yeah, the time quaker.
The time, yeah, exactly.
That just sounds like a time traveling Quaker.
It does.
The Quaker Oats guys. He travels through time.
Or like,
Have you heard about my oats?
or maybe like a really bizarrely themed wrestler.
Yeah, time
Yeah.
Quaker.
Time Quaker. And he's got.
But he still has a little
It's
bobby
what you're
hair.
describing, yeah, but he's a professional wrestler.
I
My oaks
immediately
will go through time.
I love how, people are commenting on Vixen and who she's going to be with. Wikipedia thinks that Vixen is going to be with everyone. That sounds like fun. Boo69B says, if you want to ship someone, why not Sarah and Amaya?
Yeah,
But you know, what I like so far is, I mean, we're already 5 episodes in, and there's no
Yeah.
obvious thing that
No.
we can really see them forcing anything happen together. I'm just
Yeah.
cool with them all just hanging out, being buddies.
Yes, and that's, I
Exactly.
remember saying that a couple of
Yeah.
weeks ago, the exact same thing. Like, I'm not opposed to it, like Dave, like you said, if they put the time in, but I come to this show to watch these guys just being awesome and hanging out together, so I don't need it. I'm not going to feel
Yeah.
shorted if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, the only romance that needs to happen is Rip and Jonah Hex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but that's happening. You know
Yeah.
it is.
Off screen.
Even if they never address it,
Yeah.
it's
happening.
there.
Because I think it's a nice mix
Yeah.
of some people have some personal investment, some people just have friendships and stuff that I don't feel like adding a relationship on top of that is necessary
Yeah, I think
to have a
that's
successful
sure.
season.
Yeah, she
think
was
it's-
right. They don't need to fraternize.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was an interesting thing. Yeah, because when they find out that there's a timequake back in 1987, they're going to go check out around Washington, D.C. December 7th, 1987.
Right.
It's a signing of a big treaty between Reagan and Gorbachev. And Martin Stein was there at the time.
So, how do you guys feel about young Martin? Because there's parts of this character who we've now bumped into a couple of times. Parts of this character that I absolutely adore, and parts of it not even that I dislike, but I'm thoroughly bewildered by.
Well, I think that's kind of the point. I'm with old Martin on this, where it feels like, man, what an
a
annoying
douche.
asshat. Was he like?
Yeah. No, I would agree,
Yeah.
because it's like...
I don't mean to be pointing at Frank. What an annoying. Oh boy, he's the worst.
But Hubba Hubba, his wife was hot. Ooh.
Yeah, I guess
Right.
we reached the end of the Legends
How
of
does
Finale's
that
after show, guys. So like us on Facebook. Give us 5 stars on iTunes.
Hey,
Because I
never.
feel like Youngstein, we're seeing all of old Stein's, I guess, narcissistic tendencies or selfish tendencies,
Yeah.
without that wisdom added onto it. So you're seeing that
Yeah.
stripped bare and seeing that how it is.
I appreciate too that both versions of Stein, he's incredibly intelligent right up until the moment where he's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's true. That's true of our present Stein, Victor Garber, as well. It's just like you say, he has those years of wisdom on top of it. So I feel like he starts bumping up against those walls maybe a little bit later.
Yeah, and he's always kind of been a little bit of an asshat, even from the Flash days. You know, when we first meet him, he's kind of.
I think Dickenstein works better. Ivan Soto says young Marty is the Dickenstein. That's what we call
yeah,
it.
Dickenstein.
And it's all caps.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
It is the Dickenstein.
I'm sorry if I blew. If I just yelled way too Dickenstein. It sounds like a
Steve.
weird monster that I would not want to meet.
No?
Just all
yeah,
a monster made out of dicks. That's all I picture. Beware.
It's like
He's
Castle
coming.
Freak, only worse. Like if you've seen the movie, I just put a horrible image in your mind.
All right. Sorry, everyone. You're here to talk about time-traveling fun superheroes, not
weird.
weird dick monsters.
Dude, season 3, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
That's true. There you go. We do find out, though, that the plan is, hey, guess what? We're going to send the majority of the team to break into the White House. We're going to send Nate and Amaya, because Amaya says, hey, why don't we touch base with the 1987 JSA? They got an academy here. We can get some help to make this happen.
You know, I'm glad we found out more about the JSA because I wasn't very sure how the JSA worked into the world exactly because I thought maybe they were like how I know the JLA, which is a very public kind of don't worry, don't be scared of superheroes. The Justice League exists and they're helping people out and everyone knows about the Justice League. But it sounds like the Justice Society is very secretive.
Yeah,
and I like that it's like behind the scenes.
Yeah, because like in the 50s in the comics, at least in the comic book stories and the history for that, in the 50s after like all the McCarthy hearings and stuff like that, they want the JSA to unmask themselves.
Right.
And they say, nope, we're not doing that. We're just taking off. See you later. And they disappear and they retire, essentially.
Yeah, and it also tracks with the continuity they've established in this CW DC universe as well, because when Oliver Queen first puts the hood on and starts doing his vigilante thing, nobody's going, you're just like those guys from the 40s and the 50s.
Just like the Justice Society.
There's totally precedent for this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, especially when the Flash comes along. Where it's like, oh, superpowers, like the Justice Society. Yeah, but it's secretive, and the only one that knows about it is a historian who was researching his grandfather, so it all kind of makes sense.
Time detective is what he
time.
prefers.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Time detective.
Prefer
That's right. But then when they get to the JSA Academy, which is supposed to be like, you know, the most elite training academy in the world, and they go in, you already know it's already setting up for failure because they walk in and it's deserted.
There's cobwebs and
No one's cleaning it.
Except for Obsidian, who just happens to be standing up in the rafters.
I like to think he just heard an alarm and then went to like check it out.
Okay.
You know, like
he's not just spending his days hanging out in
I
the
don't
rafters.
think he's been like,
I think
I'm just gonna see what the old Dusty
But then, like
put more cobwebs up.
But where was he then? Like before that, was he on the roof, or like does he have an apartment above it or something?
Maybe it's like his house is right connected to it or
He just
something.
hangs out outside.
Yeah, he was great. I loved him.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
love
oh,
Lance
Henriksen, yeah.
Lance Henriksen, Millennium, kept making me think about that old show.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Also, of course, Bishop and Aliens.
Yes.
Of course, yeah.
Although I feel like because Obsidian kind of swaps away Nate and then goes to start talking to Maya, turns back into his human form. But I feel like, I don't know, didn't Nate see him long enough to recognize that it was Obsidian?
right?
Because he cold cocks him right around the game. Like, didn't you see that was
Well,
Obsidian?
okay, this is what maybe he didn't recognize him because he's only met him once, and a lot of the Justice Society is secretive and classified. So maybe he hasn't seen a lot of pictures of Obsidian.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but and also I think he realizes that after he clocks him,
Yeah.
he immediately goes, oh wait a second. So I didn't mind it.
Too bad. And why did he have to use up? Why didn't he just steal up at that moment?
He's not in full control of those powers quite yet.
He's just
figuring
learning.
He
it out.
seemed pretty controlled in that big fight at the White House. at the
He's
end.
getting there.
Well,
but it's
He's just learning. Give him a little bit.
yeah. Plus, they've already got Obsidian doing his whoosh 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 thing around the room, right?
Yeah, he's whooshing.
It's another expensive effect in the same scene. Cut him some slack.
Could only use up so much of the budget, you know?
Oh.
We do find out that as Stein was warning Jax, though, that all those little messing around with time is called temporal ripples, the temporal domino effect. So Stein
or tempriples.
Yes.
I just like to combine everything into one stupid word.
So Stein's at the White House and he sees all this stuff going on. So he knows that Dark's now an advisor for Reagan. And I do like we get to see Ray and Mick walking around seeing Reagan's jelly beans.
Oh yeah.
I
know
love
they
the
ate some.
I love the idea that Reagan's like, well, I eat too many jelly beans in the Oval Office, so make sure to put it in the hallway in a big old jar, but no one could touch them. No one but Reggie boy. Oh, Reggie, those are only for him. If anyone touches him, that's him trying to be a bad boy. Keep away from Reggie's. I'm sorry, I'm doing fun. Jelly beans.
I thought maybe that's how he punctuates the end of that. Jelly beans.
We need skits as you as Reagan now.
Immediately.
Oh, hey.
Can we just do a web series where we're seeing like those deleted scenes from each episode of Legend of Tomorrow, and Dave Child will fill in those like just off the side, so we have a little Ronald Reagan moment.
What's happening downstairs? Oh no, Rocket Man. I don't like Rocket Man.
Rocket Man.
I need my jelly beans. Too bad they're so far away from me right now. Old Reggie's losing steam. All right, let's move on.
Jonathan Dimming says #JellybeanGate.
Jellybean. Perfect.
So, of course, now that they announced that Darhk's in the house, Sarah goes crazy.
Darhk's in the house?
Darhk's in the house. I did write that. I did write that later on. Darhk's in the house. And so Sarah wants to go stab him. Secret Service is on top of her.
Yep.
Ray and Mick are there to help her out. And I do like when Mick says, do we run or fight? And Ray's the one that actually says, no, we fight, which seems very uncharacteristic of Ray.
He gets weirdly into it for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think this is Ray's arc in this one is like really trying to figure out who he is, and maybe he needs like a gun to be a bad person. And I like this a lot better than him just whining about not having superpowers.
Yes.
I like
Absolutely.
him trying to do. I was on Flash and Friends the other day just talking about Legends of Tomorrow, and I realized we were talking about last week's episode, which I missed, and how it was like in an episode full of like real acknowledgement of slavery and trouble and racism. You still have this whiny billionaire white guy who's just like, I don't have any powers. Well, now I got a new toy. And I'm glad that he's seeing how it's like, just as useless in a lot of ways as everything else, and he needs to figure out what he has personally. Yeah. So that's a pretty good one of the storylines.
Go.
I was just going to say the character growth of Ray, just by losing his suit and going through all this is really interesting because, it's like, you had powers. Now what do you do?
Yeah.
Where did he get Snart's jacket from? Like, that seems like that'd be a weird, a decision for him to make, and then to go pull it from wherever it is. Like, is it just in a property locker with his his old stuff?
I think he took it from Rory's closet.
Right, like
that
they
he
go to his
uses as a
room?
pillow to just it smells every now and then.
Is this Supergirl again, Lex? You always wonder where they get the clothes.
Seriously, I'm going these are great, but what's happening? And, did he really go into Rory's cabin? Because when he shows up in the van,
still has all of his stuff. They didn't just throw it out of the temporal vortex.
He's
or
dead.
Something. He's dead.
Ship's
throw it
too
off.
heavy. But no, Rory seems genuinely startled and upset when he realizes that that Ray is wearing Snart's jacket. So
Well, yeah.
I'm wondering where'd he go grab it from?
Yeah, it's a real invasion of
Sarah's room.
Could be in
so good.
Sarah's or Rory's room, I
Yeah.
think.
There you go.
Yeah, they each had one.
Or they should just build a little the Arrow little monument to the person.
A chocolate bunny statue of Snart.
Yeah, or a Batman, thing, and just have it in the library that they have there or something.
Now, the one thing that, I don't know if this irritated you guys at all. So we do the scene where Sarah, Mick, and Rory are fighting all the Secret Service agents inside the White House.
Uh-huh.
They come back at the end of the episode for the state dinner and just cruising through the White House, and nobody gives them a second look.
Didn't even notice.
Really?
I
That's
didn't
just
even notice.
It was in broad daylight. You're fighting these guys up close. They have a description of you guys, and you guys just walked right in again?
The 80s were a different time.
You know what?
Everyone was on
I
drugs.
think Legends of Tomorrow, and this is what I love about the show, is I think it's in full shark repellent spray, Batman 1966 wackiness. And I gloss over.
So because we wore different clothes, they're not going to recognize us.
Think about that moment. Think about that moment later where in the one scene Stein's wife clearly recognizes Jax, and then as soon as he shows up in the Firestorm outfit with white eyes, she's like, "Who are you?"
Okay, my reason for that, and I know I'm kind of the apologist.
Apologist?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sounds right.
Apologentilist of this episode, but during when that comes up, at first I read that as, why don't you recognize him? But then I thought maybe if a person with fire powers, even if it was like you and you suddenly had fire powers, part of me would be like, wait, who or what are you? I think it was kind of more of a what are you?
No, come on. If Lex showed up with fire powers, you would not I don't know what. Some guy showed up here with fire powers. Oh, Lex, hey, how you doing, buddy? You wouldn't believe what came over. Some guy with fire powers just walked right in front of me.
It's not that I don't recognize him. What I'm saying is, it's she's saying who are you, but she's really saying what are you? Like, what are you that you have?
So
firepower?
it's the difference between who are you and who are you?
Yes, I was saying it was that sort of thing.
I don't know that I read it the same way, but I get what you're saying.
I'm just saying you can read it that way. There's different ways, and I would be like, "Who are you?" Maybe it's more of that.
But my point was
check,
more.
please.
But it was more to your earlier point about how it's in keeping tonally with the idea that there's some of this stuff we're just not meant to read that far into.
Also, I was thinking like Jax was like, I'm gonna check in with your very hot wife at her hotel place.
Yeah.
And tell her why you're not showing up. And I was thinking, dude, you are psychically connected to the husband. You're already kind of partly attracted to her. You're gonna bone Stein's wife.
And that would have been really funny. But yeah, we got some good segue into the chat here. Jonathan Dimming said fire hair is the new hood for hiding identity. And Sivarem says that Lex is Prometheus, not Firestorm.
Yes, I am in fact rumored heavily to be Prometheus. I can neither confirm nor deny.
I like that.
Or maybe you're Alchemy. I think you might be Alchemy.
They're the
I'm
same
pretty sure
person.
Frank Moran is Alchemy, actually.
All right.
Great, yeah.
And I'm Grodd. I'm Gorilla Grodd.
It was cool to see, as Dave was mentioning, like another use of Firestorm's powers. And what we traditionally see was him just throwing up like a little heat shield.
Yeah.
But I also missed that because I know they're trying to work on the transmutation part of his powers as well. So I really wanted to see him change those bullets into something else, like flowers or something like that at the moment. Yeah.
Right, that's true. They haven't really used that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why she doesn't recognize him, is that his face is transmutated, but it's like in Valkyrie, where they're all German, but they're speaking English for the audience's benefit. He still looks like Jax, but his face is transmogrificated.
It's just a melty skull.
It's like a grilled
It's just
cheese
Ghost
sandwich.
That's more of the reading.
I did like, though, we get a nice, sweet 80s news broadcast, though. 52 Action News.
Yeah,
Yes.
New 52, anyone?
Yeah.
Well, so apparently Channel 52, as it currently exists on Arrow, has apparently been around for several decades. So good for them.
Yeah, and just like that 80s look of it was just so nice.
Yeah, nice little like with the lines of VHS lines. That was cool.
Yeah, and then we get into the big debate about this episode. As Jack says to Sarah, is it okay to change history if it's for your own personal vendetta?
Right.
No.
No, not clearly. No.
But also, you're changing history all the time. That's what
Yeah.
they're doing all the time.
So
It's
like,
like,
yeah.
there's so many flashpoints now.
True, I mean, because you think of every one of those Civil War soldiers that died last episode as zombies, you know, or whatever they were turned into. I mean, who knows all the ramifications, just that small amount of people that had died.
It's a
We
good
have in the rest
point.
of history.
Like, statistically, a few of them probably would have died in battle anyway, but they may have died sooner. That may have changed the course of a few battles. Like, have we looked? We went pretty quickly into other business from the Civil War. Have we looked back at the timeline and seen, like, made sure everything was still okay?
Maybe now Leonard Skinner doesn't exist. I'm sorry. I'm
No
saying
free
that's-
bird, Dave. I mean, God.
No free bird. Could have been. Now their ancestor is a zombie, a Confederate zombie. I was trying to think of who would have Confederate like ties, and I thought of Leonard Skinner.
Well, then I might have gone to a different high school.
Well, I did like, though, the scene, though, because Stein and Sarah have an argument about this whole thing, about revenge against dark and how much that is important. You need to let history run its, at least somewhat, its natural course, even though we're kind of making little ripples along the way. And Sarah's point was like, you know, my sister sacrificed everything. It'd be terrible of me not to do the same for her.
Yeah.
But and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And I think there is an interesting argument there from a couple of different angles. And I understand too, like, Damien Darhk would live another several decades, and presumably he's not doing anything nice in those intervening years.
Probably
so you
not.
could actually, it's the same thing with, like, would you go back in time and kill baby Hitler? But you could off Damien Darhk 30 some odd years before he originally died and maybe save a whole bunch of lives. But you don't know, Damien Darhk might have been in a Starbucks one day and like tossed somebody a quarter because he thought it was funny, like that he could mock them in such a fashion, and maybe to change that person's life, and like they go and they do something good. I'm saying, like, time ripples, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Starbucks is important.
Starbucks is the key. That's actually like the hub where they blew up in the first season of Starbucks.
This AfterBuzz brought to you by Starbucks.
But, point being, even eliminating somebody as dangerous and destructive as Damien Darhk from the timeline could potentially have so many unintended consequences as well, as we've seen over and over again. So generally speaking, like, no, just don't.
No, it's true. And I'm glad that they address this because certainly it is Sarah's Achilles heel. And I could understand where she's coming from for this. But if she's ostensibly the leader of the Legends now, I mean, you to have her just be so quick to just kind of go red like a shark, her eyes roll back in her head at the mention of Damien Darhk. Like, not really.
For a second, I heard to have her be so quick to go ride a shark.
I
was like, what?
And then have her eyes roll back.
That's
like,
right. I'm riding a
This
shark.
Jedi riding a shark.
Yeah.
Right. Although, to be fair, still a better captain than Rip.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely so, yeah.
Because she does check herself before she wrecks herself.
I do have to say,
And not after.
I do have to say, like, and I don't want to get too political here, but after this bad week, it was nice for me, at least, to see a woman in a pantsuit kicking ass in the White House.
Yeah.
For just like, even if it's fictional and she's really an assassin, but it was nice to see that have this like really kind of great moment where she's using her heels to like beat up this big guy.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah, and what a great line whenever Vixen's talking about aren't men and women equal now, and you
Yeah.
know, talking about the shoulder pads, and he's like, "Well, keep that hope alive."
Yeah, keep it alive
yeah.
and vote. Vote if you like that.
Often.
And we see that even though at the end of the episode, Sarah says, like, you know, I'm not going to be a vigilante. I'm not going to be an assassin. I'm now the captain of this team. I'm not going to kill him. I'm going to spare your life. But she still then goes on to break down Damien Darhk's future for him. Which, you know, of course, not knowing that he's going to have time travel at his disposal in a moment to be able to change his future. Still, maybe not the best idea.
No.
to let somebody
Right, but
know.
I mean, she wanted to do something. I would have shot him in the leg or something. I would have like tried to cripple him, but he does have Lazarus Pit. So I don't know. The only thing she could do is try and cripple his ego, and by saying you're going to lose this fight no matter what.
Yeah.
And doing it in a convincing, detailed way is probably the only way to actually convince him of that.
Yeah, and
but it probably doomed him.
No, it's true. And it's always cool to see his facade crack a little bit when she mentions the Ark and his wife and like killing his, you know, trying to kill his daughter.
By the way, the season of Arrow she just described sounded great. It sounded. I wish it was as good as the way she kind of like described what happened with Darhk, which it was fine. It's fine. It's just one of the weakest ones. And I actually like
There were
Damien
too
Darhk
many
like dies in a
filler
boxing
episodes.
match in the street.
Yeah,
basically.
I mean I like Darhk in this show a lot better than I did in that show. I think he gets to kind of show off his full supervillaininess.
It fits him better because he's a campy villain. Arrow is
Absolutely.
not for that.
Yeah.
He's-
Arrow doesn't know what it's for, but yeah.
but I think that's exactly what it is that he is such a broad, almost, well, he is very comic booky, and Arrow is the least comic booky of all these shows, and it's just a weird tonal disparity to have him walking around being super, like, in the best possible way, a little bit like scenery chewy and over the top. It like doesn't gel quite as well. Here it fits perfectly.
Yeah.
I think Merlin will do the same. You know, it's like, the more they progress that character into letting it be John Barrowman, it's like, now he belongs over here in the fun show.
Yeah.
But I do love Arrow.
Again, what I said last week, just get rid of that robot hand. Just come on. There's something better. There's got to be something better.
Or like just a more discreet robot hand.
I just want like one arrow, just one tiny arrow just sticking out. Like,
It's like Aquaman when he had that harpoon for a hand, but it's just a little tiny
that's
arrow.
my favorite Aquaman. By far my favorite Aquaman.
Maybe he just shoots arrows like Spider-Man out of his wrist.
Yeah, he has a little like crossbow.
No.
We do see time change also a little bit too, because while Ray and Rory are out doing a stakeout on Damien Darhk, young Martin Stein comes in and tries to make his pitch about like, hey, I want you to give this proposal to the president. And notices him talking to a KGB guy, and then Gold Dark stabs him.
And like he just stands there piecing it together out loud, like processing it externally, and is like digging himself a nice little hole instead of just like running. Like once you realize like, oh, this is it's KGB. I know what's happening here. Your next move should be like goodbye.
But that's to be honest, that's very Stein.
Oh,
like,
yes.
That's how Stein reacts to everything.
Oh, that's absolutely. I totally buy his behavior, but I'm watching, going like, dude, no, don't just like go anywhere, just do anything, but stand there. It's just like some motion, distract them, wave your arms.
He's not a man of action. He's a man of theory and thinking.
Sure.
I'll have to give it up for Rory though this episode. Just so many great lines, like when they're in the van. Ray's bringing out apple slices, he just tosses them out the window. Then the music starts playing from the 80s, then he smashes the radio. I hate the 80s.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Sarah in the Wave Rider. Any update? It's like, not yet! She's screaming. I was like, all right, I love it.
Yeah.
More of that.
Steele had some great moments this episode too. Like
Yes.
I love when he's in the middle of the fight and he realizes he's about to smash Mary Todd's hope chest and was like, oh, cool, Mary Todd's hope chest. And then it gets smashed and he's like, hey, you've got too far. Yeah. And that was a nice little like, oh, he is a history nerd.
And it's nice to like touch on that occasionally because it's easy to lose that part of his personality if we're not dealing directly with more of the JLA or JSA rather. We lose his history nerdiness in the super heroics. So it's nice to have little moments where you call
and
it
it's
out.
also good to use it in not a plot device to get to the next thing. So it's like, well, he's a time detective, so we'll say this. Use it in a funny character building like joke. So I thought that was actually great writing.
Yes.
And also when they win the day and he asks like, oh, should we hug? I feel like, are we gonna hug? And Sarah says just this once, and he's like, there's gonna be more. That was adorable, and that was great. I love him in the team.
Yeah, I think he's blended in so well with this team this season. I mean, there's no speed bumps. He just fit right in.
Right.
And I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one who has a super crush on him. The way that Dave talked about him too, I'm like,
I mean, Buds of Steel.
I know,
So.
Exactly. And I'm just like, he fits perfectly.
Why, Dave? Why?
Send me your tweets. Send me your angry tweets.
I disagree with neither of you, and the hug. I love the hug moment a lot as well, and it is exactly what we're talking about. It's a perfect moment of these two people being awesome, kicking ass, but then also being buddies, demonstrating mutual love and respect. I love it. Makes my heart sing.
Yeah. I just feel like they just introduced the character so much better this season. I feel like you get the time component that Rip had in Nate. But they just have it much more integrated with the team, and it's just so much better this season. Really like it. So at the end, though, it's a big fight with everybody. Dark is trying to get they want to get the kick-ass CD-ROM with all the nuclear codes in exchange for something that's in a box, a nice engagement ring or something.
I kept thinking,
brooch.
by the way, like when he gave him the CD-ROM, that reminded me of the first CD-ROM I got, which was Elton John from McDonald's. And we got it for free, and it was about this thick. It's super thick, and I was like, oh, wow, I got a CD-ROM now. What the hell do I play it on? What is the KGB? Do they have a CD-ROM player? That's what I'm curious about.
Well, if it's the Russian government, maybe. I'm now more intrigued by what Elton John CD-ROM you got from McDonald's.
It's best of. It was best of.
Wow. So it's like a little like promotional release.
Yeah, this was like, hey, CD-ROMs exist now.
Okay.
Get a free CD-ROM from McDonald's. We had it was the first CD-ROM.
I didn't know if there was like some weird Elton John's Adventures in McDonald Land game that I missed out on in my youth. I would have been very upset.
Cool. That would be cool. That would be cool, though.
And then we see Obsidian follows Dark and is able to dodge some bullets until Vixen shows up. Right. And I understand, like, Vixen just, where's that amulet? Why isn't she summoning some power to be faster than to dodge that bullet? But she just stands there and then lets Dark take a shot at her.
You know, it's fast. And she just kind of showed up. I mean.
Come on now. Why she didn't even get into it right away? Just like, hey, pick some animal power. You know you're going to be fighting some dude. Let's come into it.
But she didn't know, to be fair, she was going to be fighting a dude right that second as she came around the corner. She did. Bullets move fast, Frank.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know.
That seemed like it was a fast, like...
Why would you wait till the last second? They're like, hey, I should activate my superpower too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, she probably
didn't know what power to activate.
She probably had just enough time to go, wait a second.
Honestly, I'm with you on this, Frank, because she bragged about how awesome she was, even without that amulet to Ray, and shit on him. So
You know
it's
what?
like,
Exactly.
Next time you're in a gunfight, let me know how fast you react. And I think sometimes you mess up. And sometimes you need a teleporting Lance Hendrickson to really help you out.
I'm just glad. I was worried that they were going to kill him off in this episode. I was like, please don't kill him
No.
off.
I'm
glad they
So I'm
didn't.
glad that was not the case.
And then I was gonna say, if he got killed off, I was gonna be like, she needs to stay away from Buns of Steel there, because if everybody around you dies, honey, don't touch him.
What I'm relieved too, because considering all that they've been through, all the crazy like future tech they've been bombarded with, all of the injuries they sustained, as close to death as they've all come, it would be really anticlimactic. It was like, what happened to Obsidian? Oh, somebody shot him. That's it. We couldn't save him. We couldn't save Obsidian. Bummer, guys. All right, let's go through time with our space technology now. I appreciate that they were able to clean him up. No muss, no fuss.
It was also nice to have Vixen say, I'll fix this. I have a time machine.
Yes.
Don't worry. It could be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're actually talking about fixing their mistakes, too.
But her last interaction with Obsidian goes, it was just like old times. Like, it was about a week ago for you, Vixen. So really, like old times, it was like a week that you were back in 1942.
Also,
fighting alongside with him.
Also, lay off Lance Hendrickson about how old he is. Come on. There were so many old jokes. It was like, we'll go get Vixen's old friend. And I do mean old friend. I'm like, whoa, relax. Calm down. He's just an old guy. Don't freak out over, like, it's the CW. Can you believe all this white hair we have around us? Oh, weird. Just, come on.
We also get a nice moment between the Steins as everybody's healed up thanks to Gideon the Wave Rider. And as we're walking out, I like young Stein is so thinks that old Stein is so arrogant for not sharing any of the secrets of the Wave Rider with him. You could advance our research by decades by showing me now.
I kept wondering if as he's giving this pep talk, to be like, your wife should be the most important thing to you, and then after a while, what would this be like? But also, still work very hard.
Yeah, like
I don't want you to be totally devoted to your wife and leave your work behind, because you need to at least get to the point I'm at right now.
I mean, you seem like 90-10, maybe dial back 70-30, 70-30.
Yeah, 70-30.
60-40, somewhere around there.
I don't know.
Just whatever it's gonna take.
But I liked that scene too. Like I thought the emotional beat totally landed for me. And
Me too. I thought so too.
It's a really sweet moment, especially when we've spent even tonight some time talking about how both versions of Stein are essentially asshats, I believe is the word that you use.
Asshats.
Dickenstein.
Dickenstein. Really nice, genuine, emotional moment, and a really honest moment between the two of them, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
You just gotta let love in that heart. Just little love in your heart, right?
Little love.
Yeah.
Little love in your heart.
And then we have the episode there. We've got Thawne and Darhk, and Darhk now wants to change his destiny. So guess what? I've got this sweet little time sphere. Hop on in.
Get in this snow globe, baby. We're gonna shake it up.
And I love how he didn't question it at all. He just got in there. I'm like, this guy runs really fast and is kind of like shady. You don't think he's not gonna murder you? But I guess they trust each other.
Well, to be fair though, two things. One, Damien Darhk is super powerful. He's got an unnaturally long life, and he's probably pretty cocky. On top of which, clearly he believed Sarah. So he assumes, like, well, if that's my destiny, what do I have to lose then? So it actually makes some sense. I keep, though, in my head coming back to the look on his face as he realizes, like, I'm gonna go through time.
Yeah.
Like, his face, that's like me watching this show every single week. Is Damien Darhk in this little sphere going through time.
And we do get, finally the Legends get the first hint that there's something more afoot than just Damien Darhk. They get an idea, at least an inkling who this time travel is. They know it's a speedster.
Yeah.
So
and they know that it's a speedster. I guess they don't know who the Reverse Flash is, so they can't be like, it's the Reverse Flash.
No, as far as we got is like the Flash, faster. How do you know that?
Yeah, you've never even seen the Flash.
He's just moving so quick. I assume nothing else moves that fast.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to assume that's because I don't think Sarah's actually met the Flash, so she's probably heard about the Flash.
She knows some people that know him.
Yeah, so she's probably like, oh, it's a really fast guy.
And Ray's met the Flash, right?
Yes.
Yes, but seeing like a Flash in real life, I think you would say faster than you would expect.
Sure.
Maybe that's it.
You're right.
So she's not actually like, I clocked him at 200 miles an hour rather than
faster.
Yeah, definitely faster. No, nothing like that.
So I guess that brings us to the end of the episode. So we'll do just a lightning fast round of predictions.
I'm wondering what's going on in the
TV predictions.
What's going on in the chat there?
Lex is getting so much love from Sky Patterson. Lex is worth $1 million. Lex for Handsome King.
Sky,
somebody said though, Lex for, I think it was Sky, right?
Yep.
Said Lex for Vice Prez and Dave Child for Prez.
Ooh,
Sky Patterson.
I will serve the Dave Child administration.
Sure, it's gonna be.
I know we
also
get no
terrible,
love, Frank.
but
Apparently,
better than this.
I'm going to talk to Richie Sky on Box Office Breakdown Sky about your comments right there. I thought he was number one in your heart. I guess not. It's sad to see. But one question I want to ask you guys is that we see this box that Damien Darhk's got. He got it from the KGB. It's a little box. What do you think was in this exciting box that Damien Darhk was so sad that he lost?
I mean, it's probably some other little bit of magical junk, right?
Yeah, probably a Green Lantern ring.
yeah.
No, probably not. But I want it to be.
Yeah, that would be way cool because it's coming from the KGB. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
It's gotta be something cool.
I mean, the fact that they didn't show it to us, I feel like means that we are going to see it at some point. It has to have some
Presumably,
bearing on it. So
Maybe it's that orb thing that they had. Isn't that a thing from previous season? Didn't they have an orb, the KGB? And then Stein had to hold. That was big. That was big.
Yeah, when they were doing like the Soviet firestorm thing.
Yeah, I was thinking if it was like linked to maybe the Soviet firestorm story.
Okay.
Somehow.
Maybe.
But
Possibly.
That was bigger. That was
maybe
like
it's linked to Brock.
hand size.
yeah, because that was the only like really major superhero they've ever had. It was like Rocket Red. So I'm like, well, but that's not really a relic or anything like that. So I don't know what it could be inside that box.
But it could also be. There's nothing that says it has to have come from previous eras in the time stream. This could be something that came from some other point on the timeline and ended up there.
Yeah,
Right,
very true.
right.
Ooh, so I don't know.
I don't know. Well, who from the Legion of Doom have we yet to see? We're going to see Captain Cold
Snart's gonna come back. Obviously, Malcolm Merlin.
and Malcolm Merlin. So I don't know if it has anything to do with those. Maybe Ra's al Ghul's ring? I don't know.
Yeah, that would be
That'd be
cool. But I like Jonathan Demming's suggestion that it's a clue to find Sidney Palmer.
Yeah, it would be nice to get her kind of in there, right? Because I've been wanting them to build up that's the fiance, right?
No, it's Ray's brother that looked a lot like him. That the statue really was.
It's a dude.
So it's just Brandon playing another role. I'd like to see that because I
would
like
be
soap
fun.
operas.
Yeah, his twin brothers
Yeah.
he randomly has. That's right.
Yeah, his brother looks a lot like me, but
Yeah.
It could be a little tiny baby hand that will then grow up to be Merlin's new
hand.
human hand.
that would be
That's right.
awesome.
What if he has just a baby hand the whole time, like Deadpool?
But I don't know. Maybe it's like another tiny suit. It's like another shrinking suit from another point in the
there you go.
timeline.
That's
that would be
Maybe
good.
we could
That's a
fit
good
that in there.
idea.
That could be something.
Then he'll get the suit back.
There's no way we get to the end of the season without Ray getting tiny again.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I also think like Dark would have no concept of what that is, so he gets, oh, it's a tiny suit. Cool. What am I gonna do with this?
Yeah.
It's an action figure.
He does his
All
little
right.
Civil War diorama and puts it in it. Puts it on a horse.
I'm still hoping he somehow gets like shrink powers without a suit.
Please,
That's what I'm hoping
please,
for.
because I think like this is showing you that we've been able to do Ray really exciting and really interesting character moments and not require the use of the Atom suit. So put him in like the old school comic book version of the Atom, and I think we can still do some really cool stuff with him.
Give him a belt.
Give him a belt.
buckle.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to do it for this episode of the Legends of Tomorrow After Show. But as always, folks, like us on Facebook. Give us those 5 stars on iTunes. Lex Michael's been drinking your 5 stars from previous reviews.
They're delicious,
Yes,
thank you.
and I know, Lacretia, were you able to pull up one 5-star review from
Yes,
iTunes?
we have 2 from this year.
Well, just
So-
give us one here, real quick.
All right, so the last one was from JD Writes 101. He says, great shows, great panel. The panel for Legends is one of my favorites for the sole reason the hosts have great chemistry and come up with some great ideas. Not to mention they are funny as they are witty.
I like it.
Look at
Thanks,
that.
everyone.
Thanks,
I
that
like
warms the cold cockles of my heart. You can also subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. Thanks so much for hopping in the chat, everybody. We love hearing your comments about the show. And if you want to continue the conversation with us even after the show's over, Lacretia, where can they find you?
You guys can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet since there is only one.
I am Lex Michael all over social media at the Lex Michael.
I'm Dave Child. You can find me at mrdavecild and davechild.com. Be good, everyone. Be good to one another.
For real.
And maybe volunteer and help out as much as you can. It's going to be a tough 4 years.
Yep.
But we can do it together, folks.
Yeah.
Look at that. Hey, everybody, you follow me on Twitter at Jackie. We'll see you next week for another episode of the Legends Tomorrow After Show right here on AfterBuzz TV.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.